We talked about the security landscape of travel and remote work in the last lesson. And now we're going to go a little bit more into the devices in your pocket, on your desk, and in your bag. Your phone, your tablet, your laptop are extensions of who you are these days. They hold your photos, your messages, your music, your memories. And increasingly, they also hold your work. This is the BYOD world we live in. Bring your own device. It's fundamentally changed how we think about the boundary between personal and professional life. The boundary can be blurred and it's definitely digital. Now, the new normal is that over 82% of organizations now have some form of BYOD policy. It's not an emerging trend, it's just a standard way that a lot of businesses operate. 67% of employees use their personal devices for work, whether their organization has a formal policy or not. People don't wait for permission. They use what's convenient. People are using their smartphones for work tasks, even their personal ones. The majority of companies depend on their employees accessing business applications from anywhere because they need that responsiveness. Google CEO Sundar Pichai made an important observation about privacy and accessibility, saying privacy cannot be a luxury good. And this principle applies to device security. We can't build security systems that only work for people with the newest devices or the most technical knowledge. Everyone using personal devices for work needs to understand the risks and have access to basic protections. Before we dive into the risks themselves, we think about why BYOD is so widespread, because organizations see real benefits of this. That's why they allow it. Companies save an average of $341 per employee annually, not issuing smartphones, letting them just use their personal devices. So if you're thinking about hundreds or thousands of employees, that becomes a significant budget savings. And 68% of these organizations are reporting that productivity improved once they started allowing that. The accessibility, the efficiency people have on the devices that they're already familiar with. There's no learning curve, no adjustment period. And satisfaction matters, and a lot of people prefer to use devices that they've chosen themselves. Happy employees are more engaged, more loyal, and more productive. Urgent situations get handled faster when people have access to work on their personal devices. So the challenge there is just capturing these advantages without creating unacceptable security risks. There's always going to be security risks, but each organization has to identify what are their acceptable security risks. Now, almost half of organizations have suffered some form of data breach linked to unsecured or unmanaged personal devices in the past year. And security incidents out of this group, about half of those end up being directly connected to personal device use. So there is a lot of challenge there. It's a coin flip, 50-50 chance. But when organizations have BYOD restrictions, the majority of companies, leaders, and IT say people are still using their personal devices even if they're not supposed to. Policies exist, but people work around them. So the unmanaged attack surface just keeps growing. And there's a data mixing problem with this because personal and professional data exist on the same device and sometimes in the same apps. Your phone might have both personal email and work email on it, and personal photo and work documents, personal contacts and professional contacts, personal apps and business apps, personal cloud storage and corporate file access. So these boundaries are blurred, and that creates accidental sharing, data leakage, and backup complications. Maybe you mean to send a file to your spouse, but accidentally send it to your boss. You might forward a work document and include the wrong attachment. And these mistakes happen all the time. When you're granting permission to apps on your phone and you have work data on your phone, then you can be exposing that work data to those apps, even though those apps are for your personal use. The app that helps you edit photos might also be reading your work emails. When you back up your personal device to a personal cloud account, you think about where that data goes. If your work documents are backed up to your personal iCloud or Google Drive, now those documents exist outside your organization's control. More than half of cybersecurity professionals in business identify data loss and leakage as one of their top BYOD-related concerns. So IT cybersecurity people are more stressed out about data leakage through everyday device use than about sophisticated hacking attacks. More than half of organizations experience a mobile or IoT-related security incident that results in data loss or downtime in 2024. And there's a risky behavior reality. almost half of employees surveyed admitted to engaging in actions they knew were risky on mobile devices, not mistakes or ignorance, but deliberate choices to do things that they knew were risky because of convenience or speed or the idea that an issue isn't going to happen. It's not going to happen to me. Another very concerning thing is that almost half of employees use the same password for both work and personal accounts. So if one account is compromised, both are. Another, more than half of smartphone users are not using passwords to protect their devices. Only 17%, they say, of adults run antivirus software on their mobile phones. We think about protecting our computers, but we haven't translated those habits to our phones a lot of times. Apple CEO Tim Cook spoke forcefully about data protection, saying we shouldn't sugarcoat the consequences. This is surveillance, and these stockpiles of personal data serve only to enrich the companies that collect them. He's talking about consumer apps, but the principle extends to enterprise security. Every app on your personal device that has access to your work data is a potential surveillance point, and every permission you grant is a door you're opening. Do you have games on your phone? Do you even know what country the games are managed from? And then lost and stolen devices is actually a really big problem. They say that 70 million smartphones are lost globally each year. That's huge. That only 7% of those are ever even recovered. Some of those are company-issued smartphones that are lost or stolen every year. A lot of those are personal devices that are still used for work. In the United States alone, 4.1 million phones lost or stolen each year is the number. So when a device goes missing, according to the Verizon Data Breach Investigations report, more than 90% of security incidents involving lost or stolen devices resulted in an unauthorized data breach. Not surprising. This is not just about the hardware, it's about everything on that hardware. Personal data was leaked, they say, in 97% of these cases. They say internal business data leaked in 42% and financial data leaked in 25%. So you think about losing your phone, it's not just an inconvenience, it's a potential data breach. The numbers you get out there differ from different places, but one study did claim that 41% of all data breaches were the result of lost or stolen devices. So this is not sophisticated cyber attacking going on or nation state hackers necessarily. These are just lost and stolen devices. And it's really acute in various industries. In healthcare, 68% of data breaches caused by the lost stolen device issue. But every industry is affected. Personal apps on personal devices come with risks that are difficult to control. Mobile security experts say that enterprises face a far greater threat from the millions of generally available apps on their employees' devices than from any mobile malware. This threat not being primarily viruses and hackers, but legitimate apps being installed every day. They require more permissions than they need, and they transmit data to servers that we don't know anything about. They might be safe for personal use, but become problematic when they have access to work data. So when you install a game or a social media app or a shopping application, you're often granting access to your contacts, photos, files, location, and clipboard. You might have copied a password and pasted it. Each permission is a potential path for data to leave your control. Previously, we talked about shadow IT a bit in other lessons, which is the use of unauthorized applications for work purposes. So obviously on personal devices, this problem is amplified dramatically. So IT leaders are concerned about shadow IT risks on personal devices, unauthorized tools and apps used for work without going through official channels, no visibility into what's being used or how. Someone might be using a personal Dropbox account to share work files, running work conversations through personal WhatsApp, editing documents in apps that haven't been vetted for security, and syncing work data to personal cloud services. And that employee is thinking they're being efficient and productive. But the security perspective is they're creating data flows that can't be monitored, protected, or controlled. And we've talked about phishing, fraudulent emails designed to steal credentials or install malware. On mobile devices, the parallel threat is called smishing or SMS phishing. According to Proofpoint's research, 75% of organizations experienced smishing attacks in 2023, and Verizon found that employees are 6 to 10 times more likely to fall victim to a smishing attack than an email phishing attack. There's several factors in this. Smaller screens make it harder to verify links and sender information. Trust in text messages is a lot of times higher than trust in emails. Context switching happens faster on phones. A lot of people are less careful. We don't even know we're just pushing buttons, moving our fingers. Urgency feels more real when a message appears on a device that we carry everywhere. So that sense of urgency becomes more personal. And we're talking about that sense of urgency that is a tool that attackers use. And attackers are strategic. Executives are increasingly targeted with whaling attacks on mobile devices because criminals know they're accessing sensitive information on those phones. Then you've got the regular scenario of people leaving jobs, right? An employee leaves the company, resigns, get fired, retires. Either way, they're walking out the door with their personal device and the company data that's on it. On a company-owned device, you have clear authority to wipe that device clean, but a personal device situation is much more complicated because that device is the employee's property. There are legal boundaries different in different places that can limit what you can demand. You can't really prove if they even have anything on their phone. You can only typically say, if you do, you need to do this. Enforcement's very difficult. Former employees take data with them, intentionally or not. And then there's a dimension of risk associated with family. In your personal life, other people use your phone or personal devices. Your child might pick up your phone to play a game, your spouse borrowing your tablet to check something. You might share computers in the house. A friend might ask to quickly use your laptop. These are normal, innocent interactions. But on a device with work access, these are potential security incidents. Children, especially, can easily create problems without meaning to. Downloading apps, clicking on things, exploring. On a device with access to corporate systems, exploration can lead to data exposure or security breaches. So the device might be yours, but you're not always the one using it sometimes. And that's a security consideration that's unique to BYOD. So to build personal device security, you want to enable strong authentication. Use a strong PIN, password, biometric lock on every device. First line of defense. Enable remote wipe capability. Make sure you can remotely locate and erase your device if it goes missing. Use your organization's security tools. Many devices now support work profiles, keeping business apps and data isolated from personal apps. Containerization, limiting what personal apps can access. And before granting an app access to contacts, files, or other data, ask yourself, does it really need that access? Default to denying permissions. You need a clear reason to grant permissions. And you have to go through your phone and check a lot of times. What permissions do my apps have? You want to keep everything updated because software updates often contain those security patches that are essential. And when you're on your personal device, when you're on any device, but when you're on your personal device, pay attention to connection security. You're definitely responsible for it on your personal device. Use a VPN when accessing work resources. Avoid public Wi-Fi for sensitive activities. Mobile security experts offer this insight, saying companies need to establish trust and security in a world where they have less and less control over devices, apps, and their users. The only way to do this effectively is to truly understand how people work and interact on mobile while knowing that threats are present. That's capturing the essential challenge. Security has to work with human behavior, not against it. For organizations, BYOD security requires a different approach than traditional device management. You need the clear policies so employees know what's expected. The security tools that work, like VPN access, security apps, and management tools. The training and awareness so employees understand the risks, not for scaring them, but to inform their decisions. And the incident response planning, having clear procedures for what happens when a personal device with work access is lost, stolen, or compromised. You don't want to figure that out after the case. And then the organization also needs regular review because technology changes and threats evolved. Policies that made sense 2 years ago may need updating. And there is a privacy balance. Organizations want to protect their data, but employees want privacy on their personal devices. So there's a balance required to respect both. Organizations should only collect data necessary for security and not be comprehensively surveilling the personal lives of their employees. Employees need need to understand what visibility the organization has and why. And security tools should separate work data from personal, and policies need to be transparent about what happens if a device is lost. Getting this balance wrong creates resentment and encourages employees to work around security measures, but getting the balance right builds trust. So our quick summary for this lesson: BYOD is the new normal. Personal devices do create unique risks. Lost devices are a major threat, and behavior is that key variable. Technology alone cannot solve the human behavior problems, or all the system problems, or the process problems. And there has to be a security and privacy balance. Now, we've explored security outside the office walls, and we're done with section 4, and you'll be going into the final section of the course where we'll shift from awareness to action, review developing security intuition, the ability to sense when something isn't right, and discuss how to transform what you've learned into habits that stick.